Hey guys, Vessel here. I've been asked recently to do a short little guide on what is the most popular and viable build on Priest at the moment, which would be the Amun Ram Dominion Toothpick combo. This essentially revolves around the broken stat that is armor and the absolute insane scaling that Heartsteel has on it. You essentially just stack armor. So, how do we stack armor? We have Dominion's primary ability, which is a whopping 100% additional armor. We have armor from our gear, armor from enchantments such as reinforced soft embroidery, magic formula, elixirs of minor armor. Uh, our arsenal weapon, Toothpick, gives at 25 stacks 50% added armor, which, if you didn't know, stacks freely. You don't have to hit an enemy to gain these stacks, as you can see. So as you're waiting for a boss, take for example Gorgon's immunity phase where he's spawning extra minions, you can just freely stack so you always have it up. There's never a reason to have this at anything other than 25%. So on our gear, we're going to want to look for armor. Duh. Anything that has the highest possible armor is going to be usually your best in slot. On top of that, we're going to want to pick up pieces like Armored Docker Cap, Unity of the 30 Kingdoms. They have crit. Why is crit useful? Your Heartsteel, 341 to 342 damage, scales off of your crit as well. You can crit on this attack. For accessories, you're going to want to go... I have the wrong one equipped at the moment, but a level... I think it's like a level 20 crit amulet with any enchantment that you have available. Realistically, the best option would be plus critical plus fervor, which I think is also a negate. Crit on your rings, crit on your rings. Where do you farm all these? Because I know someone's going to end up asking. The helmet and toothpick are from Gorgon hard mode. Elizabeth is shoulder legs. City of Maida or Crab Gancho, I prefer Crab Gancho for these, is gloves and cape. The body, belt, and trinket are going to be from Ratsar. Do not do Minestrone. That boss is horrendous. Amun Ram drops from Monster Chuck, and Dominion, unfortunately, is a world drop. So you either, if you, through some sheer amount of bad luck, have not dropped it from a chest, you're going to have to farm this on another character, unfortunately. Side note, there are crit boots, at least if I remember correctly, but I do prefer the added vitality and armor that these have over the other option. So it's up to you. Trinket, we just go more crit. Everyone has a Racklet Pan. It drops everywhere. You could look under your couch and you're going to find 3 of these. So, what next? Amun Ram. We're going to want more crit. How do we get more crit? Amun Ram essentially gives you stacks of Benediction. Upon having 5 stacks of Benediction, you can proc your first ability, which gives you 15%, 10%, sorry, increase crit chance and increase fervor for 15 seconds. You will have this up constantly. This is essentially an infinite buff as long as you can hit something. At max rank, if you crit on your 3rd hit, the cooldown of Ram's Veil is immediately reset and becomes an instant cast. So let me see if I can show this here real quick. See, it glows and then insta-cast. Upon having 5 stacks, you proc it, boom. There you have your buff. For our talent tree, you're going to want to go down the left and middle branch. Purging Strikes gives you consistent damage on your auto attacks when you have sunlight, which is A very nice added bonus considering how quickly the weapon hits. Zealous Fighter, another obvious choice. 8% crit chance is always welcome. Mighty the Executioner, increased crit damage is always welcome. Fun fact, considering that Heartsteel is a final combo attack, it does benefit from the 30% increased critical damage, one of the only sources, if not the only source actually, of generic crit damage in the game. We take Potent Fortitude for 15% physical mastery, essentially 15% more damage on your Dominion passive whenever you have a shield, which we always have. Soothing Rays, no one cares about this. Crusader's Resolve, it's 8% increased armor, again, always welcome. And Hybrid Penetration, considering you do a lot of magic damage on top of your physical damage, 8% is very welcome. For our runes, we'll take on Judgment, we'll take the increase in physical mastery. Let me get out of combat real quick so I can mouse over these properly. We'll take Spirited Disciple, 5%. This is essentially 5% increased damage for just activating all three of your prayers, which is going to be very easy. On Faithful Winds, we'll take the additional damage. This ends up being on certain bosses, for example, Elizabeth, a whopping upwards of 800 damage when hitting multiple bees at the same time, considering this is an insane area of effect. On Radiant Virtue, we'll take Consecration. I won't be hearing anything else about this. I do not like this. This is garbage. This is garbage. This is lovely. AoE, burn, damage, awesome. Blessing of Fervor, we're going to take Surge of Faith. Why not Almighty Blessing? Because Strength, Dexterity, Intellect, and Faith, while they may be an increase in our damage, the only thing that scales off of those stats are our basic attack and Swirling Embers and then Ram's Veil. But none of these are going to be crucial enough for that talent to really matter, so we just want to get cooldown reduction on it so that our 10% fervor, which does affect passives, fervor does affect passives, we just have more constant uptime on it. Crusader, we take 20% reduced damage because upon proccing our Fortifying Cry, we're already at 63% on average physical damage reduction taken from enemies. An additional 20% more is quite frankly disgusting. Beacon of Hope is an absolute meme. Terrible skill, do not take it. None of these matter. 10% damage you deal is stored over the course of 10 seconds. That ends up equating to around maybe 200 damage max, and on a 180 second cooldown, I can't recommend it. This has to be incredibly buffed sooner or later. Now, last but not least, show you an example combo. We stack our 50% armor from Toothpick first. Da-da. We want to proc our Swirling Embers so we can have all three prayers ready. You give yourself the shield for Judgment so you can have your increased mastery. Blessing of Fervor for more damage from your crit. You drop both of these. You pop your Fortifying Cry for more damage. And you swing. Look at that. 951 damage off that one singular hit. On a 13.5 second cooldown, actually. But it doesn't matter how low of cooldown it is. See, we have it up again. Another 756 damage hit. It is absolutely absurd the amount of damage this does. Excuse my inventory. I was farming for a different build I'm making a guide on. Honorary mention to Glory as an alternate weapon to use, more than certain this is a bug, but there is a 6% chance around there for your glory to double the damage, essentially double the hit on Heartsteel. So if your Heartsteel crits for 1.4k, you do that damage twice. 6% chance maybe isn't worth losing the armor bonus from Toothpick or the crit bonus from Ammon Ram, but it's something to consider. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. Hit me up on Discord if anything else, but thank you. This build needs to be nerfed. There's no way this outlasts. This is on the first patch of the early access. There is no way this makes it past the first patch. So enjoy it while you can. Bye.